Welcome back, everyone. We just saw the 13-8 domination take place as SAT takes the lead on the series. And I say domination, you think 13-8. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but it was the Glazer winning both of the pistols, but struggling so much to do anything else on those buy rounds. It was a struggle every single round, first half, second half, and it was sad just having a field trip in every single part of the map that you saw them. They were looking confident. We saw Bob looking very good, Darkest then stepping up and performing to the same level. It was a SAT that looked so comfortable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was just, again, just to hit it one more time in case you missed the first 15 times we talked about it. It was all in the ways that we've kind of been learning about the Challenger scene in terms of where the important parts of the map are when it comes to split. We've seen so many teams lock down the middle of the map defensively. That really wasn't a part of the setup from the Glazers. And not that there were a lot of moves from SAT Esports to like hard focus through mid, but how many times did Bob just walk through mid, find a flank for free because there was nothing in place at middle of the map whatsoever? It just felt like the Glazers wanted to set up their defense from the towers or on top of sites themselves, and that miss through the middle of the map just led to way too many wide open flanks. And then you flip the sides around and SAT Esports do their diligence at middle and just really never give the Glazers much of a chance to do much of anything at all. I mean, outside of a couple of heavy-handed hits, there really wasn't much success for the Glazers throughout either side of this map.
I mean, 13-8 winning both pistols, I think, is kind of wild. I would have said, like, that's a good example. Like, Riku, they really struggled to anchor the B site. I think they were varying a lot of, like, early B main presence, but eventually when the hits came in, it was very hard to get help there. Bob, her game sense is just, just on a bit of a different level here. Like, it's been very hard, I think, for the Glazers to sort of try and preempt anything that she's doing, especially in those clutch situations. Coburg has 2 3Ks anchoring the A site on defense, which is huge, right? Because the Glazers get through the middle part of the map by spending everything, which is great. But as soon as they get boots on the ground and actually go for a site hit, they can't get any info about where the anchor players are. They check screens, checking elbow, checking behind the barrier on A, but usually one of those angles gets left open, and that player completely derails the Glazers in general. So it's a tough map, but this is what happens when you are light on util. It's one of the, obviously, the issues with Sky having less guiding light, but also when your opponents as defenders don't give you anything for free. The SAT are very disciplined here on split.
The other side of it, just quickly, important to note that outside of the round following the pistol, there was never a moment in that map where the Glazers held an eco advantage. At worst, or at best rather, I should say, they were in full buys versus full buys, but they were playing from the backside of the 8-ball almost the entire way through that series, save the rounds after the pistols where you naturally come in with an eco advantage. So that's another part of it in terms of controlling the tempo of the game. You know, lots of momentum built up quickly from SAT Esports, and that limits the amount of chances that the Glazers even get to break down these things that are causing them issues, because you have to do it from, at best, a level playing field. And more often than not, when they did have full weapons in these full versus full rounds, they were dealing with SAT Esports having a handful of critical ultimates that changed the tides of those rounds in particular. So yeah, full control from start to finish right there for SAT Esports in my mind.
There's only one player on SAT that actually has a negative first kill, first death ratio. So
also
almost
that, yeah.
every single round, SAT are playing a player up after that first engagement. I think Drone is like 5-8 first kill, first death. Obviously, as the raise, if you're not really able to get anything going there, it's very hard to convert off of that. Yeah, I mean, you end up hitting a site with little info and a player disadvantage quite often, which is a huge deficit to come back from on a map like Split, especially.
And there's some teams that are able to convert that deficit, but it's so rare to happen, right? It's really impressive actually when we actually get to see it. And for these two teams, the one thing that you're relying on the most is the numbers advantage to convert it to that round win. And it was something that SAT was doing constantly. There was a point in the first half, I think the 7th, 8th round, where Bob was 17-4. It was just insane. Then you see the rest of the team kind of stepping up. And Uber, I wanted to ask you, because you said towards the beginning, before we went into the map 1, that you didn't want to see just Bob by herself. You wanted to see the support for the rest of the team. Do you think we did get to see that towards the second half of this map?
Yeah, and absolutely. I think like what Bob is able to bring to a team is a really fresh look on a lot of the mid-rounding. And it's not necessarily even the calling. She's just, you know, a loose player. She's not carrying the spike. They have good presence at her side. She'll be like, I mean, I just cleared mid with my Trailblazer. I'm going to go there. Whereas, you know, what we saw from Precision Gen was like a tentative, like 1 minute mid clear with the Trailblazer, and then just not really take the space. Don't feel like you can. That was that one round where Bob actually like flanks and gets 3. And the Glazers were not able to really split onto a site very effectively. A couple times through ropes, they went there, but the Viper wall they throw at the start of the round, that sort of cuts through heaven, it telegraphs an A split through mid. So either we saw Sad give up heaven and not risk getting pinched there, or play more aggressively for mid and stop that arm of the pincer from even hitting the A side at all, leaving Zachary, you know, on the tools. He's got his cams, he's looking at stuff. That's great, but he doesn't really have anyone to play off of, and he doesn't have the utility to clear ramp on his own.
And now you're going to need a lot more for the side of the Glazers. I think we talked about towards the beginning of the show that every single time it's been at least one map that has been closed. But this one honestly felt like domination for Sad. And as we jump into the second map of Sunset, I'm curious to see how things are going to shape up. Just knowing the history of the two teams, one has played it, one hasn't. And Shift, honestly, for me, I'm feeling a 2-0 for Sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be feeling pretty comfortable at it, not only because, like you mentioned, we're going to Sad's map pick, but they did look pretty good against Roadship when they played this map. And it was a very standard kind of stock setup in terms of agent composition that they just executed really nicely on. Whereas the expectation on the other side, even though we haven't seen it in a while, last time that the Glazers played this map was during their qualifiers. They did beat a good Blinn Esports team who does play this map a lot in CVAL, but they used a Breach and a Gecko combination. I don't know if we're going to get that. I feel like we're a little bit past that point of trying to pull something like that off, but I would not be surprised them to try to default towards playing more initiator based rather than controller or sentinel based like we kind of see on the other side for Sad Esports. So I don't know, I'll be interested, I think, to see what they want to do here compositionally, because after not finding not a lot of great initiation from Split, they need to have that in more focused, concentrated choke points, which is what Sunset provides. So I would need to see them pull out the Sky, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pull out a Breach still with that, maybe.
Give Zoe an operator and let him play towards, like on defense, play towards that A extremity. You know, especially if we're seeing like the Glazers who love just contacting a lot of these sort of wide angles. We saw Zoe pick up the operator. Look, it didn't exactly play out that well on Split, but that is like an option that can be quite powerful here, especially if your Sky is already dogging in towards B lobby, right? And getting all that info on the other side of the map.
There's a couple options here. There's a couple options that can be done for the other side, especially because there's that element of surprise, right? But we're going to see how it shapes up as we jump into the agent select of the second map of Sunset. There is that chance of the 2-0 or the potential for us to see that third map as I look at the compositions. There's a couple differences, but you're going to continue to see that duelist fight between Drone and Scar. And let's find out where this takes us. Uber and Shift is up to you.
Thank you, Dryad. I mean, this does mean that the Glazers are a bit flashlight on this particular map, right? Bringing in the Rays, which is something we see, the Fade rather, something we see alongside the Rays on like Lotus, for example. It's the kind of map where you can set up those Siege trap plays, and obviously having a scan agent here can be a bit of a difference maker. But you know, Sad with the very tried and true, straightforward setup here. That Sky, of course, of Bob. We've already seen her look extremely dynamic on Split this series.
Yeah, I worry about this composition for the Glazers because it's one of those situations that like you don't really have a true flash outside of just the paranoia. So there's going to be a lot of pressure here when they get to the offensive side in particular to not just find and confirm good information with the Fade, but they also have to play around Andrew's setups a lot just to try to isolate sites. And I'm kind of just selfishly hoping that Ange kind of holds on to that Viper Stall maybe a little bit longer than you'd anticipate, since you have so many information seeking tools from Precision that you could drop a late wall and try to burst through a site a little bit quicker with some good isolation. Because I don't know, I worry about a solo paranoia kind of as their only true flash option here. As much as the Nightfall, I think, is a very powerful ultimate on this map from both sides of the spike, I still worry generally about their lack of ability to control tight angles by not really having true flashes.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, the Breach here is very powerful in this map, especially because of the fault line you can throw out from the A side defensively, followed up with the paranoia. I think we kind of saw that in that core YFP matchup earlier. But there you go. Kobo can see a heck of a lot. Straight up towards A Link here, and very quickly the Glazers backing off of the A side entirely behind that trap wire. Skarn's going to try and spot it out here. There's the C's.
So good.
There's no follow-up.
Yeah, I love this commitment from Sad. You get over towards elbow, no problems, but you also just force the Glazers to have to sit on this backside of the A site. Now, there is a bit of an elimination coming through in the front, while also simultaneously a play from the back should be known as the trap wire gets destroyed, but Sad are looking to push through and find these kills.
Darkest again, strafing around the corner with a right click. This time it works, though. Great paint shell timing there, I've got to say, from Skarn, and actually stopped people following up on the trap wire from Zachary that revealed one of the Sad players.
Oh. Mitch, this is such a good post-plant play from Sad, getting all the way deep in the back, but Ange isolates. They don't know that Darkest is still here, though.
Coburg just needs to hang around a little bit longer.
Yep.
Buy some time for an off angle for Darkest. We are going to see the Glazers try and overload this. Coburg hears it. They know approximately what is going on with Riku, who's going to get brought down. And look at that! That's stunning! Darkest with 3. Sad with a post plant that almost goes awry, but tell you what, Darkest and Coburg had it all sorted out.
Small moments in there. I think first and foremost, the isolation of play through elbow was absolutely perfect. You get control of it, you force precision back, no real chance to stop it afterwards, so you just keep pushing through. But it's the spy cam that's left behind. The trap wire doesn't actually see much, but there's a moment in there where Coburg goes back into the spy cam and reads both players, which gives the information to Sad that, yes, we have to commit to continuing to play through this defensive spawn and wait out this flank a little while longer. And then, of course, you already saw the delay from Coburg sitting in the poison cloud that was placed by Darkest. Perfect post-plant play. Great awareness, great conversion.
And this is very straightforward, right? Paranoid A-Link, follow it up with a smoke, and then throw one for the one-way in spawn. Immediately, your post-plant has been secured now. And you've got some awkward weapons here for the Glazers to make a push here from A-Link. They're all coming from the same way.
Yeah, the C's out, but yeah, you're running right into a Guardian, Vandal, Stingers. I mean, wow. That's just, yeah, you know, just see what you can pull with just classics out. It's the very regular post-pistol loss setup that we often see, but the problem here is 2 Vandals were purchased in that last round with the Guardian, so now you've got a couple of full armors out, and for a bonus, this is formidable for SAD Esports.
That's right. Got to be feeling all right about another A hit here. Really easy to cut off A-Link, but the Glazers this time gambled that extra player on towards A. Santa Claus no indication as to whether they want to make use of mid here. They probably should spot Riku with this Cypher cam off the rip now. And that's not enough to dissuade them. Here they come once more.
Yeah, they're just catching guiding lights in the face. And you have to throw paint shells to delay. There's the haunt behind it. Try to delay a little longer. That's already a lot of utility gone. Trailblazer follows up with a peek. 2 for 1 to make it 2 for 2. Not bad for the defensive trades, but that's weapon upgrades now still holding 2 Vandals.
Yeah, you're turning those Stingers into Vandals here and going 1 for 1. You've got to feel good about that as the attacker. Zachary still laboriously making his way across the map here. Might find a timing towards A-Link, but Ange is in a position here to play high-low with him. But just enough time at least to get the trade there. The spike, though. Bob, she's always a step ahead somehow. She's well and truly out of that A site.
And really, Zoe just needs to throw dark cover, keep the defense interested towards this A hit, and then back up to support. And that is what pretty much happened over towards that A outside elbow. Bob kind of gives away the play that the trap wire gets triggered, and that means that the defense has to rotate. But they're going to have absolutely no information on where this post plant is, except for the fact that it's not in market, thanks to the spy cam still being up.
So Riku moves in behind that already cleared space. It is going to be a play here from B lobby without that Viper alive anymore for the defenders. They can't make use of that wall. First one way comes down. This is already set in place by Zachary at the start of the round. A lot of smoke here. The dark cover thrown down. Riku is going to tap the spike. Zoe, though, tears him to shreds. Just on the Zachary now to try and play close here. Gave it a tap once more. This is going to draw Zoe out of hiding. But even after Zoe, the final boss, Bob, would have been waiting. That's 3 in a row for Sad.
Yeah, really good post plant setup there from Sad as well. There's a deep dark cover that gets thrown just as soon as Zoe makes her way over. That keeps the Glazers interested because, yes, you get market control for free, but you don't know if anyone's playing deep towards B. And then as soon as they isolate, dark covers have never been enough to stop a post plant from being locked down from that A main position, or that B main position, pardon me, where you can just spam through. Just ping it, spam it, get the kill. No worries from there. So bonus is successful for Sad. And, well, the Glazers are in trouble early already. Hate to say that only 3 rounds in, but unless they can find a way to get these sheriffs going, which they do, I said this could get out of hand quickly. Good opening double, though, from Drunk.
Beautiful from Drone, especially because Ant was forced off the crossfire angle by the paranoia off the rip by Sad. He really had to hold his own there. Alongside precision, of course, but that's a great way to stop this momentum from Sad, who are building up quite a bank as well.
I mean, the long lurk here from Zach is essentially going to force the hand of Sad to have to stay here. The defense can also commit extra numbers because of the positions at mid, while also holding over towards the offensive spawn. Then all you have to do right now, if your position is just kind of wait, delay, get a little bit of space, then throw the Prowler when you feel like the hit's on the way, just to slow it down a little while longer for those extra defenders to rotate over. I mean, this is definitely holdable for Sad, largely thanks to that opening double. If they hit one more, I mean, Sad is going to be really reeling here.
Prowler there barely bothers Bob. There's so much util up for the attackers, though. Drone experiencing that right now. Dark cover towards Spawn. Tried to make the swing, but only at 5 HP. Precision here will be taking direct contact on Cypher. They've been spotted out with only 2 bullets in the chamber, and neither of them hit their mark. Sad, slow the tempo up here, shit. And they're able to break this one open.
This is so disciplined, flat out. I mean, you called it perfectly. The offensive utility gets placed to kind of block off a couple of the long-range sight lines. You wait to see if maybe you can pull someone out in through those smokes. And then as soon as they start to make their hit on the way, the Glazers just get caught, and that long flank from Zach essentially amounts to nothing, just due to the fact that the kills from Sad from the front were so clean, so quick, that there really was never a chance for Zach to kind of sneak in from behind and make a mess of this post-plant setup. So really good start here for Sad. And what I'm going to talk about here is, I don't even know what you talk about in this timeout if you're the Glazers, because you've been getting worked over towards A, and you don't really have anything in your ballpark to defend at all, because you either move Zach over and then the same thing's going to happen at B, or you have to start committing like a double satchel play from Drone with a Prowler, maybe a Paranoia just to try to get some more A main control. That might be the only real options they have, is either moving Zach or just trying to get more aggressive, because with no flashes, trying to contest the plant or try to foil a post plant setup is just so hard pressed to do.
One issue that you are having as the defenders here is that Andrew's getting forced off that angle at A main by the Paranoia start of every round. Can you put Riku there and counter Paranoia to at least let you post back up on the angle and have a crossfire as the attackers make their way towards A? That's one possibility.
It's just, that's such an expensive call though, because that's your only flash. So it's like, if you're going to use it, you better find something with it. That's why I think kind of the conversation would have to be. And this is one of the reasons why I really don't enjoy seeing skyless or breachless comps on this map, is just you just don't have any ways of re-clearing space.
Yeah, I mean, posting back up. But look at this. I mean, Ange going to be forced away. I don't mind this, but that snakebite only stops Ange from getting sort of, you know, rushed on here. It doesn't actually do anything about reposting the angle. The poison orb, though, different story, right? That does give you that staging ground.
That, and then you also replace with a Prowler forward. I don't think you needed to throw paint shells just to maybe get a little bit of damage. I don't really understand that call. But it does at least, again, force that A main pushback. Now all the pressure's on Zach, though. He's got the perfect setup, little high-low setup with his trap wires, with him on the box nearby, spy camera reveal, and now it's just down to him just keeping his life, wait for the defense to rotate over.
There we go. Zachary knows there's some action here, but it was a Trailblazer that caught the trap wire. That'll be a 1-for-1 at best. One and done for your Cypher embedded here on the B side. Riku takes a wide swing, finds Darkest inside lobby here, and things are slowing down for Sad. Spike is loose outside of B lobby. Drone going to be forced back briefly, and Skarn is embedded here, but there's no one to play crossfire from this position, so eventually Skarn will be dragged down alone.
Yeah, really good follow from Riku. It was one of those moments that maybe for a moment, because Drone's rocket doesn't actually get the elimination onto Skarn, you start to think maybe the Glazers just overlook that position, but no, not to be. Good discipline from the Glazers here defensively. All of that started by Zachary just getting the first elimination while also delaying the follow-up hit from Sad with the cyber cages. Really well placed. And, well, Zoe's going to fool absolutely nobody with this dark cover and fake teleport situation. So good defensive rotation, and that's a great moment because you stop the A main push and you also get a nice solid fortification out of Zach on an island by himself. I think if you're the Glazers, you just keep running this until it gets responded to.
He's actually able to play from that position there. I mean, it kind of gives away the game that the Cypher is hiding inside that particular cage, but that little step forward from Riku there confirms that there was no TP forward at all from Zoe into that corner, so I knew it was a fake there. Good job. I mean, the Glazers managed to stop this A hit, right? This real sort of overloading of players from Sad here, and they're going to have to run it back once more. This time, though, they've switched Drone across.
Yep. Same setup. Prowler comes through. This time, though, Sad just don't care about it. Okay, so look how different this is immediately. They just don't care if there's a poison placed. They don't care if the Prowler comes through and tags. They want to get this elbow control, and they get it. So now we all of a sudden have to see, what are the Glazers going to do? Are they going to try to still contest this, maybe even try to reclaim elbow? Or do they just plant up and here comes the double swing? And that's well done. 1-for-1s are fine. Skarn turns the tides with a showstopper, but it's an expensive tally, and the site is still not technically taken.
I like this though, because I like the pistol. The Glazers don't just back off into spawn and A-Link when this take of elbow happens.
Yes.
They group up as 3, and they fight for that sort of A elbow behind a Prowler, I think it was. So again, with that limited flashes, the Prowler still, you know, serves a purpose there and directing a lot of attention pre-swing. And again, Sad followed the same playbook. They go, okay, well, we did well here, but we've got a player advantage. But look where Coburg is, so far up in mid here. That's such a pivotal position now for Sad to play this round out, similar to the previous one, except with insurance.
Yeah, the only question mark, though, for Sad before they plant is, do they actually get a read where the defense is? So the neural theft will get spent. Coburg will have to kind of back up and get out of this position, but the Viper's Pit provides cover for them. I mean, they're going to stay through this. I mean, the cyber neural theft will be expired by this point, so this 2v2 should favor the post planners.
Riku with a couple flashes. The one flash that the Glazers have access to. And a couple of those dark covers here as Zachary starts to meander his way in around the outside of this Viper's Pit. Blinding. Flash here for Rico.
Oh, the footstep.
Darkest waiting with the shorty. Zachary has the range advantage at the very least. Mascana's going to be waiting and gobbles up the Cypher as he comes calling. Sad with a very small adjustment there, getting a player embedded in mid, and of course trading positively on that A elbow, convert the round.
Yeah, and I will give a little bit of a tip of the hat here to the Glazers. I think the way that they're continually saying we're not going to allow them to get free A control is perfectly fine. It comes with a bit of a risk and reward situation, though, right? Because, like we called out, you have to peek with the Prowler. But where things go awry in that round is simply off the fact that Riku teleports onto the box, and then their footstep off of it alerts Skarn that, yep, the teleport is over to my right, and that's enough to also follow up with the post planner that's playing deep in towards main that you've got trouble coming your way, my friend. And now Coburg walking in towards A Tiles will find himself a 1-for-1, and this is a different look already in terms of how Sad can quickly get onto this A site.
I like that. It'll play us down Tiles here, probably make Sad feel like they're on a timer. Yep, they have to go back and check this now. Darkest sees no one coming, so assumes that the Glazers just pull back to their side of the map, which is the case. And here we go. This is reminiscent of Bob. Oh my God, they're lined up, and Bob cuts into pieces. That is disgusting.
Well, think of the awareness there, Mitch. You paranoia through it because you know the Glazers are going to use a Nightfall here to try to retake. So the proactivity from Sad is perfect. Throw the paranoia, peek through it, try to catch them maybe while they're also trying to pull out that Nightfall. It's just absolute chef's freaking kiss. Paranoia doesn't fully land on this elbow, but it's enough for just the quick angle to come through, the paranoia clearing out close. It's just absolute perfection from Sad Esports.
Man, that triple stack from the Glazers to try and retake parts of the map, right? We've seen it a couple times on A. It just turns into bullet cushioning there for Bob as she does not miss. But this aggressive take of B main here, but it's been spotted out by Sad. Now they can section this up with that dark cover. No. Zachary springs forward, but gets traded out. It's not bad for the defenders here, but Skarn and Zoe have to get to the spike. Beautiful pistol work here from Precision. Trading evenly with the attackers with just pistols. That's a good start.
And interesting here, if they play this post plant backside of B, this neural theft will reveal that both Precision and Andrew are making their way around. I was going to say maybe there'd be a chance for Precision to kind of cut back in towards B main to get another weapon, but instead they try to push through the backside. Skarn is here. Skarn finds both. The timings, man. It's just like as soon as the Glazers are about to hit the triggers, someone steps in the way and foils the plan for Sad Esports. They could do no wrong today.
I didn't mind the jiggle peek there from Precision. That was pretty well advised, and I saw how low I think Skarn was there at 30 HP, but again, the eco disadvantage plus losing, you know, a couple of those key players early. It hurts them. I like it though. We're seeing variations on the defensive side. First, it's a triple play down into Tiles. Then, of course, it's, you know, getting those players over towards B lobby, trying to get set up, but the timing just isn't good enough. They're a little too slow, and they don't have the flashes to play off.
This is the thing. Like when we saw Sad play against the more formidable opponents in this group, in particular, you look back to that match versus M80, they were not just, you know, bending the knee and saying, we'll play your game. No, SAD was giving them some workout, man. And they were playing good, proactive Valorant. They were putting a lot of great decisions on the board, especially in the mid round. And them finding a little bit of success here and there versus M80, followed up versus Turtle Troop, not quite able to finish the series off. But here, it's kind of the same story, just different day. Just getting aggressive, knowing where their advantages are, and trusting that the calls that are being made are the right ones. And so far, those timings on the calls have, like we continue to be mentioning, they're in the perfect window. Timing-wise, it's been absolutely ideal from SAD. The only time they've been foiled is the one time Zach had his setup towards B tested. That's the only time that their offense has been foiled.
They're going to smoke this A main early, the Glazers.
They have to.
They will be pushed off the angle briefly by this paranoia if it comes out. Like, it basically has every round from Zoe.
Could also get a double blast pack here or something of the nature as well from Drone. No, deep smoke. Yeah. And the Viper Spit. Okay. So now the question is, you know, the Glazers are thinking, okay, we have to force them over to where Zach's setup is, but you can't lose focus at mid-map is what I was about to say, because SAD Esports has not tried anything through mid yet, and they have a perfect wall to keep winning mid and stretch out this Glazers defense in a different way.
So this wall has allowed Coburg to push up close to market a couple rounds.
Yes, it has. Yep.
So they have conditioned the Glazers to not lean too heavily in this part of the map. In fact, I don't think the Glazers ever... They don't really know that Coburg moves up there. They don't really know the timing of it. But you've got to expect them there after a Viper's Pit gets thrown down an A main. And Precision, unfortunately, just goes for free there. Yeah,
and that's the thing is, use a Prowler. Use something. You can't just raw peek that. You're the only initiator on your squad. So now all of a sudden, Drone has got to be called to make a hero play. This isn't going to connect. Surely not. Or, okay, maybe not. But the trades are still good. I mean, SAD have isolated this perfectly because there's no other way to clear out this deep mid position.
Well, and just spotted.
30 seconds left.
Last player up for the Glazers here, and that spike can quite easily just drift over to the B direction. Done well to win that battle, though. Coburg falling. Oh, almost able to catch the timing here, but sound cue's been given away, and the spike is headed elsewhere. Bob will stand her ground and receive credit to the Glazers because they've figured out how to stop this early A push. But they need to know what to do after that. They need to be ready for, you know, SAD to get funneled into a different part of the map and handle them there.
Yeah, and even that comes with a small asterisk, right? Because they stopped the A hit by putting a Viper Spit down, which they're not going to have again. So it's like, it's almost one of those moments where you start to kind of beat your head against the wall here a little bit, because like you continue to mention, you know, there's always been kind of the tried and true, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for SAD Esports, just paranoia down this A main lane, hit it with multiple numbers. The only thing that stood in their way has been a Prowler and a Snakebite to this point. And here we go again. Snakebite gets placed early, and SAD just do not give a rat's rear end. They just push right through it. Now the paranoia comes out late, and Elbow's gone for free. There's just no way that TG can contest this.
And they try and clear it with the Horn. It works out pretty well. To be fair, a lot of damage already taken there by Bob. Both teams actually experimenting with later timings on that fight for A. The late paranoia, I'm really glad you pointed that out. That's kind of why it's always been holding on to it. It worked. But the re-clear behind the Haunt from the Glazers was ultimately successful.
Yeah, and that's a TDM right there in front of A. And that's just who shoots better. And that was about as 3v3 as you're going to see. And not to make it sound as simple as it was, but SAD Esports just didn't hit their shots. I mean, they had all the 1v1s they could have possibly wanted. It's really just a full-on team fight, but nothing was really in their way. It's just a Haunt that comes down that maybe you delete it, maybe you don't. Doesn't really affect the team fight too much. That was just the Glazers flat out winning their gunfights.
Oh, this is
hasn't been happening enough for them over the course of this series, but they find a spot to start to build a little bit of a momentum here. Now, look at the complete variation here defensively. Zachary's not going to fight for the side at all. He'll play off of it. We actually have more of SAD leaning into mid via tiles here. And there's a heavy rotate already all day.
And the difference here for the Glazers is because they were kind of heavy stacked the box towards mid, is that they have both Prowlers available to try to re-clear space towards A when they try to play for this retake, pending that Zach does have to give it up. They also still have this Nightfall that they've held on to for 11 rounds. So that is also a retake tool that is available for the Glazers. And on top of that, if you're really worried about the post plant, you can scout it out with Riku's from the shadows. So lots of options here in terms of how the Glazers can retake this site.
I think a lot of info was just garnered there by Zoe. Zachary, has to play from outside of the dark cover, but he's looking for a timing. Spike comes down. Okay, here's that Nightfall. Zoe able to play it back off of that one. Smoke it up now, and they're ready for the cross to come through. Straight through the smoke appears precision, and it's too easy for Zoe. The attackers are so entrenched in this post-plant scenario, they don't need to hear. All they need is 2 eyes and a heartbeat. And Ange might have those, but no teammates to back him up.
Yeah, give a lot of credit to Zoe. That is the perfect placement of denying the Nightfall with the dark covers. You put him on close angles, force him to have to push through. Like, I mean, you say it with the perfect amount of comedic timing. Doesn't matter if they can't hear everything. You got to run into them. The paranoia comes out with the Nightfall, and it's like, again, it's one of those things of so what? I mean, you've got dark cover placements to where, how do you get back into the site if you're the Glazers with only Prowlers? It's just not enough, man. If you're going to play retake like this, if you're TG, you have to have flashes, just flat out. You have to have something that can flash, because the Prowler and the Haunt is just not enough to clear out space. And now you're going into round 12 where Showstopper's at the ready, Neuropet's at the ready. This is probably your last buy for the Glazers.
I like the positioning from Drone. Skarn is not ready for the high placement of the enemy raise. As Cyphercam, those spots, all the players over at A-Link, and yep, Darkest is basically ready to line up that pretty standard Omen spot. Riku can't get an edge there. And again, now you just come to the site, force the defenders out.
Difference there is Coburg trying to get alert through mid, and Zach was doing the exact same thing through B, so that isolated pick makes things a little bit more manageable for the Glazers. They've held off the spike plant to this point, and SAD are also making a bit of a call here, saying, wait a second, if we can get this down in a corner, pop a quick Viper's Pit, this may give us a little bit of an advantage.
Gonna have to be now, real quick. Well, Ange doesn't get much done there. Pit comes up, Pit goes down. Now it's going to be Bob in a 1 versus 3. We know she's good for these. There's 1, there's 2. Zachary trying to get the full stick defused. Does Bob have a feeling about it? She might not be quick enough swinging this corner, and Zachary sticks it down. Filthy stuff. And the Glazers find yet another foothold, but it comes right at the end of the half with only 3 defensive rounds. It does not feel like enough.
No, it doesn't. But again, that's a round win off of Zach. I mean, sure, 4 kills, that's easy to call, but it's the one through mid-map, because SAD Esports have everything available for them to get the spike down, have the Viper's Pit come up, then have a lurk through mid. But the timing from Zach pushing through B, catching Coburg is really the difference maker there. But like you mentioned, 3 rounds in the defensive half with the amount of issues that started to occur just based on the lack of initiation, you don't anticipate that changing much just because we've swapped the sides around. Like, the Glazers are going to have just as equal of a difficult time here trying to open up sites as they were contesting them from the defensive side. And you can already see, look at SAD are doing, just playing really far forward, forcing the Glazers to have to spend utility to either search out this information or control a little bit of space.
Interesting that the Glazers smoke top mid with the Omen, as well as have a Viper wall set up there. They're really adamant about staking their claim to this part of the map, but transitioning off it is the key. And Skarn can spot this early A action here, even though there is a poison orb out there in this choke. Here they come now on the walk, poison orb deployed. Skarn's got to be careful here. This can be awkward to cover multiple angles by it comes down. I think they swooped it actually. Skarn backs away. There is some attention here from the A-Link side as well.
Well, here's the thing, is Skarn backs up but doesn't fully give away elbow control. So there's still, again, pressure here for the Glazers. They have to clear the space out. Haunt comes through it. That's enough for the first follow-up. Not there. And the damage is done here for the Glazers, making their way onto A.
I just don't think SAD are ready for the timing or just how fast the attackers are going to be there. Zoe obviously wants to swing that off angle there, but it came way too late. 2 versus 4 here, a lot to do for SAD. Zachary now inside that poison orb. More than happy to hold his ground for the time being as Coburg's able to find the 1 at the very least. Cyphercam removed. Poison orb comes down now in a 2v3 retake for the defenders.
It's a great cage. It's going to isolate this 1v1 a little bit deeper. Now they know where the last 2 players are. Coburg got the first 2 blindly through smoke and nearly isolated to give him a chance in the reclaim, but not to be. And the Glazers, another pistol win. They've been good on the pistol, but I hate to say it, that's where they've really only been good to this point. And they need to find a way to steamroll this economy. They have yet to be up at any given moment in this game outside of the follow-up from the pistol in the eco department. Have to win this one. Probably also would like to, if not have to, win the bonus, just to give yourself a chance to reduce the deficit as quick as humanly possible.
That is the round, right? Yeah, SAD take like 2 or 3 stingers into their bonus and convert it really nicely. Upgrade all those weapons to get out to those 4 rounds. Only really giving the Glazers like 1 in the first 9 of that first half.
Well, patience here. Again, you don't want to give anything away for free if you're the Glazers, because every round is a critical round from this point on. So a little bit of a look over towards B main. Defensive wall not up at the moment, but the spy cam is also deep in towards mid. And SAT Esports are just going to make a gut check call to either stack the box or push through it. And yeah, they're going to give this a go. Flash out just to see. Cyber Cage, just a small delay, but Zach is a bit isolated here. This is a 1v multiple.
Hoberg, oh my goodness, this is disastrous. That's 2 weapons handed over now. Spike was also dropped. Ange able to pick it back up thanks to the dark cover dropped down there by Riku. And look at the weapon. I mean, again, Coburg able to upgrade. Darkest here with a Spectre. No presence on A for the defenders here, but keep an eye on that util. Despite coming into this round short-handed, they have quite a lot of it.
Yeah, the same can be said, though, for the Glazers. They've got both
30 seconds left.
The dark cover and the paranoia from Riku, who, oh, if he drops here, that would be very massive. And nope, instead, it's a nice double, plus damage onto another. And this 2v2, a little bit more hard-pressed with an Outlaw Spectre for SAT.
Bob has an Outlaw. Yeah, that's pretty scary. Obviously not all that well suited for this particular scenario. Ange just wants to hold here while Drone goes looking. No one is pushed up towards spawn by A Lincoln. Bob, in fact, she opts to back up a little.
Nice.
Oh, beautiful satchel. Knocks Darkus out of the cover. Bob needs to go for just a raw shot here. Sees Ange come across. Second bullet connects, but Ange is well armored. Now we'll try and make something happen with the Spectre. Tap of the spike. And the Glazers are able to convert.
And, well, I think if you're the Glazers, you don't have to force a heavy-handed buy here, but I wouldn't be upset to see it. Because you win this bonus, you put yourself right back into this game. You're looking at not just 6, but probably 7. But instead, it's just going to be an Outlaw purchase with a couple of Sheriffs. So, from the offensive side, not the weaponry, obviously, you want. That's easy to say, but I think this has got to be just good flood of utility. Just overwhelm something and press your luck. Just see if you can avoid maybe a couple of awkward long-range gunfights against these Vandals. See if you can just maybe overwhelm it flat out. Just flood through, see if you can catch SAT off guard.
Riku there spamming through the Viper wall up mid. Doesn't find anything there. The Glazers opt not to take control of that part of the map, but still want to smoke it. Then again, we saw SAT, of course, and their sort of lower buy rounds get easily pulled around the map here, but this time they're much more reluctant to play off the A site. Stack 3 on towards B here. It's going to be up to the Glazers to pull a thread and undo the sweater.
Yeah. And another good moment there from Darkus, by the way, just toggling between the Toxic screen and the snake bite. It forces the Glazers to have to re-clear B main again. That takes a lot of time. And now they're forced to have to play through mid into market where there's a double stack here. I mean, if they commit to this, which they're probably going to have to, I mean, they have no information at A. This is completely blind, and the trade through mid, again, kind of creates more issues here for the Glazers.
Zoe, though, great position. The off angle catches Zachary, the TP across, but do they think that Skarn is going to be left there? Swing off this. The flash didn't connect, but it doesn't matter. Skarn's bullets absolutely did. Now again over towards A as Ange has gotten deep here. Coburg opted to give it up, but still has that Cypher util in the site itself.
Yeah. And this will likely lead to a plant, but I mean, you have to get a couple if you're Ange on this rotation over. Flat out. I mean, he's going to have to get 2 just to make it even somewhat manageable for Precision, who's just hanging out with a Sheriff and low HP. So this is all about Ange catching the rotation with a Bulldog. And the Neural Theft will scout it. Yeah, you don't see a world where SAT dropped this round, unfortunately, I don't think.
My bit of time, says Ange, and then try and play off of Precision here. Not committing to hauls, though, and SAT aren't aware of this. Ange buying a bit of time with those consecutive snake bites here. They have slowed up SAT. They have to go pretty quickly. Such a small thing, this Viper util, but it might end up being the difference maker now. Time pressure starting to mount on SAT. Yes, big player and weapon advantage. The clock's against them, though. Skarn can't quite get the defuse. Precision's going to be there. It's going to be Bob fighting one, though. And Ange, the spam through the smoke is good. Where's the defuse at?
Not
no
halfway.
Chance for SAT to make it happen. And those scant seconds bought by the Viper really pay off.
Yeah, I'll eat my shoe on that one. That was really well played by Ange. I mean, I think a lot of people would have saved that second snake bite just for when you hear the spike get diffused, but it's the right call to use that to delay the retake attempt even further, because the Prowler that gets re-earned up can check over through the front side at A. Yeah, so I'll eat my shoe on that one. That was very well played for the 2v4, and actually just using the defensive smokes brilliantly as well on top of that little micro repositions that came through. And so now we've got ourselves a game, Mitch. 6-9 the call, but just Sheriffs and Stingers here for the defense. The Glazers have a chance to really build up a bank.
Like that from Coburg. Doesn't find the camera, unfortunately, but takes the opportunity to scale into B main briefly behind that cyber cage. A lot of big presence here right now for the defenders. The Glazers have brought it back 3 consecutive rounds, putting Sad half by. Flash to mid, it's beautiful. They're able to capitalize stunningly. Finding 2. Precision has to try and right this ship before it capsizes, but a player deficit here. The Glazers egg on their face after that one.
Yeah, big time. And look at the space being pushed forward through. Sad's going to get these weapons. Oh, and they may catch another off guard. Oh, no, it's a disaster. And again, that's the word we use, proactivity. Sad Esports, this entire series have been the team taking the first step, finding these timings just by staying aggressive. And now Zach has to re-clear all of this, and he gives it a go, but wow, that's so frustrating if you're a fan of the Glazers.
30 seconds left.
Another weapon dropped here. The Glazers by no means in the clear economically. Double face here should come from Skarn and Coburg. Yeah, they'll have this one in the bag. Beautiful flash to mid and just good old-fashioned pistol work to whittle the Glazers down to 3.
Oy. Just when you start...
Can't let that happen.
I mean, you can't. You can't get Sheriff down mid. You just can't. You're absolutely right. It's just another one of those moments where it's just like, you start to see the sunrise coming through, and then all of a sudden, nope, just kidding. Like, that's so frustrating for the Glazers.
Saying, bro, flashes are good.
They're really good. Really good on this map, too, just for what it's worth.
Oh, that was ugly. All right. The Glazers at least can sort of afford some kind of buy here. But Sad, of course, once more armed to the teeth. Ready to throw down now. Showstopper just around the corner for Skarn. Obviously, Zachary, crucially, has a neural theft to lean on here. Maybe play off this Nightfall on a side hit.
Sure. There's plenty of options here. It just comes down to what is the game plan going to call for here for the Blazers, because like we've continued to mention, that last round was the only round that we've really seen them have any sort of an eco advantage throughout this entire series, except for post-pistol rounds that they win. So now you're in a must-win situation, and that is a lot of value for a very little charge. Just one snake bite from Darkus completely holds off this elbow push and forces the Nightfall early. And look how slow it is. I mean, they're not going to be able to confirm too much. Showstopper behind this may get what they want, though. And yeah, it does. Well committed from Drone.
That was lovely. Great stuff. I love the Glazers. They think at one point to cross the molly. I don't know if they've been getting coached by Happy, because that's something M80 do very frequently. Try and throw timings off for their opposition. Post plant now. You've got 4 rifles in the game. Well, that Nightfall come out a little bit early now. Paranoia went in towards spawn. This will slow Sad up a little bit more. Sniper camera moves, so some confirmation of the player on the corner. The timing on the swing from Zoe is immaculate. Down to 5 bullets though, and that smoke's about to dissipate. Beautiful involvement here from all of the Glazers. Navigate that post plant expertly.
Yeah, I love the fact that they just try to hold this from inside the site. Again, because they lack the ability to reinitiate. So if you play that too deep off the site for your post plant, it's going to be hard to get back on. So good commitment there from the Glazers. Enough delay for sure, but I think a lot of that is, again, the decision-making from Drone to push through further from the Nightfall, which really doesn't do too much besides just push the defenders off. But the follow-up with the Showstopper, that's the space they needed. It gives them more dominant control to the backside of the A site. They can keep their post-plant attention largely towards the front. Good isolation, good follow-up. And now, good tempo, but Skarn gets 2. What looked to be a good exchange for the Glazers ends up an even exchange.
Bob was able at least to recover a rifle there from what went down to Newton. I don't know if the Glazers can track an extra player from the defenders in that part of the map. Zachary has to back up here. We saw a player deep here in B lobby, and this again will slow, but Zachary can skirt the edges of that snake bite. Anything to buy time for Queen Bob to bring the cavalry.
Oh, and he may catch perfect timing here too.
I mean, she knows there's a tripwire.
Yeah, but the thing is, you delete that, and it does either force the Glazers to have to move quickly or back off. The flash to follow, the Glazers have made the right read, but they're worried about the flank. And so now they're rotating into mid-map where guess who's here? Bob is already at the ready.
Cross though! It's all falling to pieces, the Glazers. Just as they get their head above water, another wave comes crashing down, and they overthink it.
That's unreal, dude. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I can understand the thought process, right? Like, the Glazers are like, uh-oh, we got someone on our flank. We have to commit. And instead of trying to plant where you don't really have a post plant set up, they try to get into market to give themselves some ground to work with for the eventual post plant. But Bob just gigabrains them. Oh, another heartbreak for the Glazers, which looked to be a pretty decent round, but they changed through the front side of the map, but not to be. And now you're down to Sheriffs and a Vandal, have to hit shots. That's about as simple as the analysis gets here.
Yeah. Does that just buy up that Vandal? Chad. Okay. 3 up in the mid here for the Glazers. They are very deep and very mixed here. And really just to try and throw some catnip in the direction of Sad. It works for a time, but for how long? Marker gets smoked off. That's going to give Darkus the buffer to drop the door and get away. And now all the attention is towards top mid. Bob's going to get the drop on this, and Drone instantly crumples.
Unreal.
Make it 3. Scan getting involved there, and the Glazers are in trouble. Zachary with that rifle by now is going to be feeling a little silly.
I mean, you got to save this, right? Surely.
In theory.
You have to. Well, I mean, one of those, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what you say. This has been polished from Sad, though, flat out. A couple of moments here and there, the Glazers have showed the individual strength of this roster. I think in particular, Zach's 4K from a couple rounds previously, that was impressive. A couple of individual moments from Drone as well, but outside of the individuals kind of bailing out a couple of the rounds and the pistols, this series has been dominated by Sad. And now you're on force buys the rest of the way through the Glazers. You're close to a Viper's Pit. Like, that may be your biggest window here, but there's already one at the ready for Sad, plus a showstopper. They have a lot of tools, and Zoe's pulling out a Judge on an off angle inside elbow. This has not been hit once yet. Oh, this could get nasty.
They're going to deny the post-plant Viper's Pit by playing close here. I like the Hawk, though. It's going to give you a lot of info. Oh, okay. Drone, man. So clean with it. Showstopper finds no purchase either. Follow it up with a Prowler just to confirm that Skarn is indeed still waiting by the entrance to Elbow.
Well, there's opportunities here for the Glazers. I think mostly off of what does Zach feel like he could get away with? Because there's options towards deep mid or towards market to try to put a little bit more pressure over towards the Viper's Pit, but the contact from the front kind of forces the hand that this has to be an A hit.
Bob there receives the Prowler. She's going to get overwhelmed here. No two. Ah, it's about it. It's okay. Well, going 2 for 1. Not too shabby. But Zachary was waiting in mid with that Spectre, playing in its optimal range and playing from behind the Viper's wall just in case it came back up. That's dirty. All down to Coburg, trying to end the game here.
Yeah, really good play from Zach. This through mid, again, just isolates that the rotation from Darkus can't come through. At least not safely. Forces an isolated 1v1. Works out beautifully for the Glazers. 1v2, Coburg still at full HP and full armor, but not a lot else remaining, and the Viper's Pit also has to be cleared. Unless he gets blessed with some more spam, I don't see it coming through, and yeah, that's all Zach again. So well played through mid-map. Glazers stay alive.
Yeah, again, you know, Zachary there really gigabrains the situation, but that's something that Sad had tried a couple of times, right? Put Coburg right up at the top of mid, behind the Viper wall, and leave him there. You don't even really need to activate him until the defenders rather try and make use of that part of the map for rotation purposes from B across. I like that a lot here from the Glazers. They're in it still.
And I kind of want to see them continue to put a little bit of that extra pressure towards mid, force Sad Esports to have to worry about that on rotation. But again, it's one of those things when you don't have the flash available, it's just, you feel like you have to commit extra numbers. Gonna hit this. Oh, what a cool flash. Right over the top of the wall. Different look this time for Sad. Works out nicely, but the battle back from Ange nearly trades it back to even numbers. We're still in a 3v2 favoring Sad Esports.
This is going to get revealed, but Darkus will slow things up. This buys time for Coburg, who will get lit crossing the map. So instead uses their position as an opportunity to shut the door.
But again, this mid-map lurk isolates the defense in a way that they will not have a chance to play this in a true-on 3v2. I mean, they have to deal with the trap wire, do SAT Esports over towards A, and as soon as that happens, that should be enough for the Glazers to make a call saying, okay, they're deep over towards A, we can just rotate around the back, and they're going to get a 2v2 here.
That is brilliant. Zoe knows that he can hedge his bets because he does have ultimate up.
Yeah, yeah.
So could go and join over on the B side here either way. Smoke on elbow. That is where Sad is set up. There's a gap. It's not being checked here. Riku doesn't have the angle to see through it. Coburg is slowly going to run into Zachary here.
Yeah, an advantage Zach with the spy cam up as well. Doesn't quite get the tag though, but the gunfight still comes through. Plus the information from Riku. Winnable 2v2. Just comes down to hitting your shots. First one comes through. Now to the 1v1, Mitch.
I don't think he knows just how close Darkness is. Okay, there's a tap. Zachary just a little too good again. Round after round, tooth and claw, keeping the Glazers in it. And we've seen this not only in this series, but in multiple of them in the past. Huge moment for the Sentinel player.
This goes here.
And I love the mid-map lurk. It's worked out so nicely. Every single time from Zach in particular, both sides of the spike, he's dominated mid. And initially when Skarn gets the opening double, front side at A, you start to worry a little bit. But again, it's one of the quick calls from Zach of, hey, if they're going to stack the box at A main, I'm going to get aggressive through mid. And now look at the defensive pings. Oh, this is an adjustment from SAT Esports saying, we're not going to let anyone lurk through mid this time. We're going to overcommit and trust that our lurkers kind of playing the exteriors of the map can hold off any full floods to where we can use mid-map control to rotate quickly to whatever site this Glazers team tries to hit on.
No one in tiles here from the Glazers. They are expecting something like this, though. This lean into the middle part of the map. How much time can Coburg buy with just a stinger? Double one-way set up here. Double trips removed by the paint shells.
Oh, man. And go figure, the first time that we see SAT Esports play aggressive through mid, it works out perfectly. But from the shadows with the spike in hand, means that Drone just has to try to do what he can by himself. Everything else goes towards A. They're going to get a post plant here, Mitch. This is still winnable for a 3v5, but Ange does not expect Zoe to be that close. And now things become more difficult.
Coburg got a weapon upgrade there over to a Vandal. Zoe, of course. Okay, Zachary out of sight there, but Zoe not going to stick it. Another great little pick and a fallback from Zachary. We've seen this multiple times. But now he's got to make it happen in a 2 versus 4. Here comes the paranoia. That hits him squarely. Riku now has to make the swing on their own. Zachary couldn't help them. And SAT Esports able to split the defenders up and finally put an end to the Glazers. The latter who now goes 0-4 in this Group B. SAT showing us it's far from a glitch when they take these big results. Great win.
And what a call on that final round. You play individual defenders forward on both A and B, and you 3-man stack mid. And wouldn't you know it, it's not just the stack at mid. I don't know if they get any information on the hit towards B main or not from the setup from the Cypher, but regardless, the flank around the back goes completely unguarded, completely unexpected. And go figure, that's the way they went on a map that it looked like for a moment the Glazers were starting to feel out. Like, hey, we're starting to find a lot of success here with these lurks through mid. So let's just try to pull the defense to focus out towards the outsides of these sites. Let Zach get into mid-map, and then we can deal the damage from there on these kind of more limited rounds where we've got, 3v2s, 3v3s, small number situations. But now SAT Esports too clean with it, and the decision-making that comes through from, again, a group of people that on paper, if you've been following VALORANT for a long time, you would never have expected that these names, these rosters would have matched up near the bottom of the leaderboard. But I'll tell you, this SAT Esports team is looking real clean through this series.
So much of the fighting came down to that action over at A elbow on both sides of the map here. And again, these little variations happening, especially from SAT. There's a round where Skarn takes a judge here into elbow on defense, right? Does get spotted by Drone, but you can see what the idea is. This aggressive play in towards the lobby by the defenders. Bob just, she has another fantastic map.
Yeah.
Very hard to sort of keep track of. I've got to say, Zachary, again, continues to be a standout player on this team. Guy has a history in esports, right? You and I know it well. And that's that veteran head and incredible game sense has really helped him when it comes to all those clutch scenarios. He's a safe pair of hands to give that sentinel role too. But elsewhere, SAD just really leaning with their firepower into this Glazers roster.
Yeah. It comes from, again, the consistency we keep getting from Bob, right? I mean, and the thing is, it's not even one of those situations that Bob is doing it in heroic form. It's just them playing their role perfectly, following up off their own utility, getting deep into space, finding good lurk timings. A lot of the proactivity from Sad was really unmatched, uncountered. On the other side of things for the Glazers, it just kind of seemed like they were a bit unprepared. I mean, even in particular on their own map pick, but here, at least they started to make adjustments, right? Like, we started to see small glimmers of hope towards the backside of this map. It just came a little bit too late. I mean, the first blood tell the story as well. On top of that, it was 13-8 in the first map, 13-9 here, matches the scoreboard perfectly. So there's early contacts that are really struggling to get the Glazers off the ground. And I think that's something that they need to kind of work on and focus on with only one more match to play, which will likely determine whether they get relegated or whether they make playoffs, because they're going to have a head-to-head matchup versus Winthrop, who will also very likely be stuck having to win out to make playoffs.
Oof, Dryad. I mean, here it is. I burnt the pasture on this pred. I'm not going to lie. I really believed in the Glazers, but maybe I just believed in Zachary.
You know what I mean? Prediction.
Look, they're good. They were. Listen, when you make a pred on a team that just lost to the top team in their group, and you're like, oh yeah, it seems like there might be something here, you kind of forget that, M80 is great, but there are a lot of other very quality teams here. And I'm not going to lie, again, just on the protocols and on the macro play, Sad are just quite a bit better than the Glazers. I'll eat my shoe on that one, I think is what Alan said.
Your prediction got a little silly, but it's okay. It happens to all of us. It's fine. It is Sad who take the win here in a way that I wanted to say towards the end. It got a little bit more difficult to close it out for sure when it was at the 9-3 half. But one thing that really caught my attention about this team of Sad, it was that throughout this series, you do really always see them playing their own game, and that is something that I really respect. Even on the eco rounds, even in the rounds where they only had classics to work with, you see them having a strategy, playing aggressive, going for an aggression on the defense, trying this very set ideas that whether they work or not, they always did some damage. And it's something that I feel like we're missing sometimes from these challengers teams shift. I feel like I love seeing it, and that is at the end continuing to play your own game, the reason why they were able to close it out.
Yeah, like unmatched proactivity, I think, is the biggest thing about it. I mean, there were limited options, I think, first and foremost for the Glazers, because you just don't have the same kind of tools. When you don't have things like a Sky, you don't have the ability to flash off angles, you don't have the ability to check close angles outside of a Prowler, you're hoping to haunt hits. Like, there's a lot of just throwing and hoping, and there's not a lot of depth in terms of the utility. So if you're the Glazers, I feel like you just had to make a decision and commit to it in terms of what are we going to get out of this utility. It has to find value, has to find efficacy, and they did start to figure it out. First half defensively, they started to play a little bit more forward towards A main. It pushed off the SAD Esports initial hits, but then that opens up something else. Same thing can be said when they're on the offensive side. Getting a little bit of space towards mid, that started to open up some space, but then as soon as SAD get the read, they hit it back, and there's just not enough available for the Glazers to recommit to reclaiming that space. So it just felt like there's a bit of a difference in the compositional value, I think, in terms of the utility efficacy from start to finish.
And you see it across this map, right? It's very interesting over when you see the way that Sad was playing this, the ideas that they had to run around this composition. And I know you guys were talking about it, that kind of the difference between the two compositions, how proactive you had to be and how proactive and aggressive Sad was being. It is so far one of the most aggressive teams that we have in Challengers, maybe the most, with the other crazy compositions that they like to play sometimes on Icebox with the Reyna and Jet, or an Ascent with the Gecko and the Yoru. We've seen a lot from them, but it's a good position for them. They find themselves at a 2-2 spot, depending a lot to end up positive on that last week. But what I really think that we need to talk about as well is now a 0-4 for the Glazers.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not where you want to be, and I think, Shift alluded to it now. It puts them in, Winthrop in a potential similar situation, right? I will say the Glazers has had to, play all the top teams in this group up until this point.
Yeah.
The potential, though, of them to sort of find that elusive last win is starting to slip away. This is a game where, I mean, God, if you're not going to get it against SAD, then your best bet is, trying to have a better round differential than Winthrop, and also beating them, which is by no means a sure thing, because the Glazers dropped to 45 minus 45 round differential here. So obviously you need to win the head-to-head in tiebreaker against Winthrop, and you have to hope they don't win any other games. So you're asking for a whole lot here. This team might be destined for relegations at this rate.
Well, the good news is for the Glazers is that Winthrop has to play M80 next. So, you know, very likely it will be a head-to-head battle of who gets relegated and who moves on. So there is that at least.
There's a couple things to look forward to, and in a couple situations that are difficult for the Glazers, but at least trying to make it with maps or with that last win. Though it is sad who take the win today. They find themselves 2-2. We're going to throw to a quick break for the series highlights, and when we come back, we have an interview with one of the sad players.
One enemy remaining. One. Spike down mid. 30. One enemy remaining. Standing. One enemy remaining.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
Welcome back, everyone. We just saw a 2-0 take place by SAD against the Glazers, and I'm here with Darkus to talk a little bit about this win and the whole process that has been for the team to find themselves now in a 2-2. Darkus, this is a big win. You definitely need those wins. You had a good start in the week 1, then things got a little bit more difficult, but you're back, and that's what really matters. And my first question for you is, when you were going today against the Glazers are a team that have come up with really close maps against some of the tougher opponents like TSM, like Turtle Troop. Was that ever a point of concern, or do you think you had that read on them that the other teams didn't?
Getting into the match, honestly, we didn't. I felt like our previous matches, we really tried to understand how they were going to play, but against the Glazers, we just wanted to run our own game. We were tired of trying to like understand how they wanted to play, and we're just like, we're going to steamroll them, we're going to do our thing, and it showed.
Yeah, it is really good. I love that you mentioned that you're playing your own game, because I was saying it really did show, right? In the eco rounds, you were playing your own game, you were having your set ideas to implement, and a lot of those were finding success. Now, I want to ask you, speaking of playing your own game, you are one of those teams that is very creative. Today, we did see those standard compositions on the map of Split and Sunset, but maps like Ascent and maps like Icebox, you do bring something new. What is the balance between finding those maps where it can be a little bit more creative and those maps where you might want to play that standard?
For Ascent, we kind of felt like we were getting tired of the stale old meta comp that everyone runs. So we found something that worked for our entire team, the players, the roles, and we try to make it work. And so far it hasn't, but hopefully next time it will.
It does have some cool implementations of it, right? But I think part of it is what we've seen you specifically played. You played Arena, Viper, KO, and Breach, I believe, are all the agents that you played so far in Challengers. So a good amount of variety there with a couple different roles. Do you think that flexibility that everybody has in the team is what is enabling you to bring these different ideas?
Yeah, for sure. I think all of my teammates are really flexible. I feel like everyone is putting the time and effort to try and understand the agent they're being put on, so that we can actually come together and make these creative comps without having concerns of someone feeling uncomfortable.
All right, and my last question for you is, as we said before, you have a 2-2 score right now for the Series 1, or that you've been able to win. So my last question is, the last match for Week 5 is going to be against TSM. How do you feel about TSM?
Honestly, really excited. I know most of the players on the roster, and I'm really confident in my team still. I feel like we're back in our groove, and we got a better understanding of how we want to play the game, so I'm really excited for the match already.
We're going to see how that one's going to turn out. Congratulations, Darkest, once again on this win. It's a 2-0 once again for SAT, and we move on to the next match, which is going to be a very interesting one. It's going to be Turtle Troop and TSM after this break.